Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Bulletproof for BJJ podcast. I am JT.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Joey.
Man, so many stories to tell. We are plumbing the depths. Between the both of us, Joey, we've trained jiu-jitsu for a fair while, and we've met a lot of different famous people. And there's a lot of stories that you can tell within Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but also MMA. And we thought what we'd do today, guys, is we'd share with you some of our behind-the-scenes tales, because there's a gold mine of good stories right here. And I'm going to look to you, Josep, to kick us off.
Okay. I think before I go into one, I think one of the cool things about jiu-jitsu is that because it is quite a young art across the globe, there's still the chance to connect with these kinds of like celebrities and heroes of the game.
Superstars, yeah.
Yeah, like you can go to Atos in San Diego and train with a bunch of like world champions, ex-world champions, top level guys. Like they're just on the mats.
Yeah.
You can't go practice tennis with Roger Federer.
No.
You can't get on the court. You can't go kick a soccer ball with Cristiano Ronaldo.
No.
But like Galvão can smash your face. Yeah. You know what I mean? On a Wednesday night. If you play your cards right. And it's it's very rare, I think, given the time that we're in right now, because it won't be that way forever, will it?
No, I think definitely, probably 10 years from now, these guys will be inaccessible. But that's why we're really lucky.
Inaccessible.
We will be inaccessible.
Get at us while you can.
Yeah, like you'd be lucky. Count yourself lucky.
Yeah. I'll try and smash your face any Wednesday night.
Mate, just come down to the gym. I'll try and smash your face.
My first brush with jiu-jitsu royalty actually occurred before I started training jiu-jitsu.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was that's Joey's journey to black belt.
Yes,
that episode we did 5 ago or whatever.
Yeah.
I first learned about jiu-jitsu when I was in San Diego, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so what was the fucking timeline of things? So I was in San Diego and I had that experience where I saw the jiu-jitsu on the beach.
You witnessed it.
Yeah. And that was kind of in my first couple of weeks there. I ended up staying in San Diego for like 3 months.
Awesome.
Yeah. I kind of maxed out my American, visa there.
Thing.
And so anyway, I had a Brazilian girlfriend there. Awesome chick named Ilana, just like a mate. We had actually become friends in Spain.
Cool.
And she was sort of the reason I went there, because I was just kind of cruising around the world, and she's like, oh, I'm going back to San Diego and we'll change. She's like, you should come down to San Diego. I was in Canada and I was like, I'll come down. So I was kind of hanging out with her, and she had this Brazilian connection, the group of friends and, barbecues and stuff going on. So I was hanging out with them a bit.
Nice.
And she invited me to a dinner one night. It was, just a casual get together. It was at a sushi place.
Oh, cool.
And it was somewhere, we were living in Pacific Beach.
Yeah.
And I was couch surfing on this dude's couch for 3 months. Shout out Jesse, thanks for putting me up for 3 months. Anyways, we get to this dinner and she's like, oh, this is my friends, blah, blah, blah. This is a friend of mine. I can't remember her name. Maybe it was Gabriella. And she had just won the Pan Ams at black belt.
Wow.
And she's like, oh, this is my friend Gabriella. I hope I don't have her name wrong. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I was like, oh, what's that? And she's like, oh, like it's like, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. But I couldn't quite understand. I had no reference point. Like, oh, she's a black belt Pan Ams. What? Like, is that a big comp? I'm like, I've heard of Pan Ams in other sports leagues, but I don't really know if it's much. Anyway, they were all quite impressed by it. So I was, like, oh, I guess it's pretty impressive.
Cool.
And her boyfriend was there. And they're like, oh, that's her boyfriend. He's also a jiu-jitsu guy. And he was this pretty like nuggety looking guy, and he was sitting in a booth, I remember, next to another guy that kind of looked the same.
Yeah.
One of them had hair, one of them didn't.
Right.
And I got introduced to them, and they were like, and I just remember at the time, I'm like, what the fuck are those names? One of the guys' names was Shanji, and the other guy's name was Solo.
There you go.
And I sat with these guys at the booth, and they're like, oh, so what are you doing here? And I'm like, oh, like I'm just traveling and cruising around. And I'm like, what about you guys? They're like, oh, we have a jiu-jitsu school. And I was like, wow, jiu-jitsu school. Like what's, no reference point again, right?
Yeah.
For people listening to this, try to imagine you don't really know anything about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu except for Royce Gracie and UFC, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just obscure to you.
Yeah.
And one of them's like, I'm like 6-time world champion. My brother's 7-time world champion.
Greatest of all time.
Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, how cool.
How
I'm
nice.
like, awesome. Yeah. You like, I really, and
could not really fully appreciate the fact that two of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners of all time are sitting across the table from you.
that's exactly right. And that was kind of the end of the exchange. There was, whatever, had some sushi, had some beers, and the night ended. But I did reconnect with Shanji many years later.
Nice.
And we can talk about that down the track. But and I said that I was like, hey man, I'm now a purple belt, but I met you way back. You probably don't remember me. I didn't train jiu-jitsu at the time, anyways. And he was really cool. I mean, he was like, yeah, let's catch up. And it was I went back to San Diego for a little trip.
Nice.
But it's just funny to look back now, right, and think like, holy shit, I was hanging out with the guy who really is like, I mean, both of those guys have been hugely sort of influential in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Shanji seems to have just been this like stalwart of the sport. Like he's been
Perpetual.
a boss still, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think he ended up getting bronze at the ADCC. I mean, he's a previous ADCC champion, absolute champion, but he got bronze at the ADCC only, not last ADCC, the one before, 2017.
Wow.
He's still on the podium. Like the guy's still relevant.
And he'd be what, like he'd be late 30s, early 40s?
Yeah, probably. And I mean, he's been, him and Saulo just messing it up at Masters Worlds, you know? Like you thought all those guys were like, oh yeah, I'll just go in Masters 1, Masters 2.
Yeah.
And
Big mistake.
Mate, you are going to get wrecked. So, I mean, I met Shanji, actually, he did a seminar at our club. It's so funny because my old coach, Dan Cherubin, all Brazilians know about Bells, but they don't realize it's down like Bells Beach. It's freaking cold and the surf gets massive and you need like a 12 mil wetsuit. Like they're like, oh yeah, Bells Beach, oh man, like surf pro. My God. So Hoyler too, like these guys came down to Victoria, to Geelong, to Torquay to surf. And they're like, oh God, so cold. Like they go have a look at it and just be like, nah, man, we'll just do the seminar. But Dan would always kind of lure them in. And I got to meet Shanji at a seminar and he was awesome. And he was a super lovely guy and super friendly. And just, I was talking to him about kettlebell training because he knew Steve Maxwell.
Yeah.
And like the kind of connection through Steve. And I knew Steve Maxwell through jiu-jitsu, but also through kettlebell training. And I had done seminars with him. And so, yeah, he's like, man, Steve's crazy, man. He's old, but he's so fucking strong. We were doing all kinds of stuff, man, with maces and kettlebells on the beach. That was like the fittest and strongest I ever was, man. That was crazy. But like, interestingly enough, like, you meet different people who are celebrities within jiu-jitsu, and sometimes the experience can be really awesome, and then sometimes not so much, depending on the human.
Who have you found the experience not to be, I don't know, maybe to be underwhelming?
Look, I think the difficulty, it's one of those things that, we all go to seminars, right? But really you're going there to meet the person, whether it's a guy or a girl. You kind of like, you want to see him in the flesh. And then, if you learn some of their jiu-jitsu, that's cool too. But what I have found, my personal experience, is just essentially the techniques or whatever you learn in the seminars, whatever, but your impression of the human comes across. And really, I think for me, one of the least enjoyable seminars, and this is not because I don't like the guy, I love the guy, was Cobrinha's. We did Cobrinha's seminar at Alliance, and it went forever. And the warm-up was so hard, man. It was a 45-minute warm-up.
Jesus.
Oh, man, everyone was smoked after the warm-up. And that's the thing. Like, I trained with Cobrinha at his gym. Lovely guy, humble guy, really nice. Introduced himself. Like, I came into his gym when I met him, and he's like, oh, I'm Rubens Charles Maciel. They call me Cobrinha. I'm like, bro, I know who you are. I've flown 16 hours on a plane to come see you. I know who you are. But when we did the seminar, man, it was the least enjoyable experience of my life. And even Adam, our friend Adam Charles, will attest that even the high-level black belts like, Jesus Cabrini, can we get off this warm-up shit? And just like, can we learn some jiu-jitsu now?
Because he's an athletic freak, isn't he?
He's super athletic. And I mean, obviously his background as a very high level capoeira guy. And it's really funny because this is another thing that Lachlan Giles and also Mini Dave, Dave Marinakis from Immersion, they went and trained with Cabrini. And one session, he's like, all right, we're going to do the capoeira warm-up. The warm-up went for an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, shit.
And then no one could move because he's getting everyone to do like skiva, lunge, high kick, lunge.
Toasted.
Just cooked. There's a great video of them dying and being very uncoordinated. But man, that seminar sucked. And I didn't even want to look at Cabrini after that. Because I was just like, what did I pay like 150 reais for? Fuck this. But
that was in Brazil?
That was in Brazil.
And so was that at the time when you were training at Alliance?
Yes, it was. That year I was very lucky. So the contrast to that was I did a Braulio Estima seminar. And that was the first time someone from Gracie Barra had come to do a seminar at Alliance. And it was awesome. Braulio is like the most charming guy. He's funny as hell. He's cracking jokes. Him and Fabio are just man-loving each other up. Like, you know, like whatever. Braulio's got Fabio in close guard. And he's like, look, guys, if you've got someone like Fabio in your close guard, you're probably done. But then Fabio's like, if you've got someone like Braulio pulling close guard on you, you're probably done. But it was great,
Too
man.
much mutual respect.
So much mutual respect, much love. And Braulio's funny as hell. And he hung around for ages, and I knew some of his students. I'd met him once or twice before, but he just treats everyone he just treats you like you're his friend. He doesn't even know you. So that was like awesome. Like great jiu-jitsu, great close guard details, which is not a big game at Alliance. And then for the next 2 weeks, everybody's playing close guard and just working all the details that he showed. And man, he's such a legend. I think every time I've seen Braulio, he always looks like he's having a fucking good time. He's always having a party.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen him on the internet, but he does always look like he's a real happy guy.
Yeah, lovely guy. And yeah, I mean, I think I was very fortunate that year that so this was specifically 2012. So all the major champions were still there at the gym, but there was a bunch of MMA champions who came to the gym at that time too, but we can talk about that another time. But yeah, man, I think within jiu-jitsu, you see these people through the lens of Flow Grappling or YouTube, or you bought their instructional. But then when you get to stand next to them, you're like, oh, you're a human being, like you're flesh and blood. And you go, wow, how is it possible this person can do so many gnarly, crazy, amazing things? And then you meet them, you're a human. And the thing that I like about that is it makes it feel more tangible, more real, more possible. And you're like, if I work my ass off, then maybe I can get good. Maybe not as good, but I can get good at this thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I've loved about it, is them sharing their knowledge, being good people, and then making it accessible, and then me getting better as a result. Yeah,
it is an interesting thing, that sort of when you realize, fuck, this person is just a person. And I've thought the same. We spoke about it before, and we'll go into it in more detail, but training with like Rob Whittaker and being like, man, how is it that this person that I'm sharing the mats with right now is the champion of the UFC?
Yeah.
And you're like, it doesn't compute in a way, because you don't see yourself at that caliber.
Yeah.
You look at those guys, these people are fucking superheroes. And then you realize, well, I mean, they're not. I mean, they are.
They are.
But
they do something incredible.
Well, I guess I could be too, maybe.
Yeah.
And obviously I have no desire to be that.
No.
But it is quite an interesting thing, isn't it? Because you do tend to think that there's like these huge gaps.
Yeah, definitely.
Who have you trained with? Like, I know you did some with Jugo, your card game.
Yeah.
You've had a bunch. I've seen on the Instagram, you've had a bunch of people play that card game.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I saw Buchecha playing it low.
Yeah, Buchecha and Low. I went to the Leandro Low and Buchecha seminar, and they were.
Was that in Brazil?
No, that was actually at Immersion Ringwood, which is run by Lee Ting. Shout out Tingy, and all the Immersion crew. Also Mini Dave, who run Immersion. Great gym in Victoria, and I think they had no idea where Ringwood is. So it's like a 45 minutes if you take the tollways, an hour and 15 if you don't, to get out of the city. And
wow.
they were staying in the city. and they'd had a big night. Like they came in at least 45 minutes late to the seminar, and Low and Buchecha were hungover as it comes. Like they smelt like, you know, Cruiser Double Blacks. Like they smelt like, and the thing is, like they're both lovely guys. So Low doesn't really speak English, and so he had his guy there kind of interpreting for him, who was hosting them. And the funny thing about it is Buchecha runs a super professional seminar, and it was great. He showed all these details. It was so good. And I mean, we'd all waited ages, but they're so apologetic, whatever. So basically Buchecha just showed his whole game. He's like, this is my passing game. This is my takedown game. And here's how I run my guard. Then we had a little break, and then Lowe said, right, this is what I'm working on. This is how I play my guard. And he had an interpreter. The funny thing about Leandro Lowe,
Buchecha's got some English, but Lowe doesn't speak any?
No, not at all. And he's like a mischievous child. He's like up the back talking shit in Portuguese, like with his mate on his phone, like just being cantankerous, like just fucking up the seminar while Buchecha's like, hey, bro, like, like trying to tell him to rein it in.
Wow.
It was cool. It was really cool to see the dynamic because they're both super nice guys. And what actually impressed me was how technical Buchecha is as a teacher. Super impressed. Also amazed at like how not very technical Leandro Lowe is as a coach or teacher.
Right.
Like does like 5 moves, like get the lapel, put your foot here, grab, And he's like, so yeah, guys, you just do this thing. I'm like, hang on a sec. Can you unpack that a little bit? Because you just did like 5 or 6 things. He's like, no, look, I'll do it again. Just like that. And I'm just like, oh God. Like I as a black belt, there were plenty of lower belts and color belts in the room who were like, what? And the black belt's like, okay, we kind of get it, you know? But because they were late, they were like, look guys, we feel bad. You can roll with us. Like they looked around the room and there was only like, I don't know, 4 black belts in the room. I was probably the biggest black belt out of all of them. And there was like a couple of lightweights. And they were like, who wants to roll with us? And so many people were like, no way. No.
What do these guys weigh?
So I think Buchecha at that time would have been at least 120 kilos. Like he was thick, like out of form.
Yeah.
Thick boy. Probably 125 kilos.
Had that festive kind of plumpness
you
get when you're traveling overseas.
He looked big body. And whatever, you know, and then another thing I'd say I'm very impressed about Buchecha, he moves like a lightweight. He's one of the best movers I've ever seen. For a heavyweight guy, couldn't believe his movement.
I don't really watch him fight much. I don't watch a lot of jiu-jitsu, to be honest. But the way he appears, he's one of those guys who appears to be very mobile.
He's so explosive.
Like he has like a suppleness.
I would say he's the most dynamic heavyweight.
Right.
I don't think there's a heavyweight who moves better than him. You know, but then Lowe is like light speed. He's the fastest. Like he just like zip, he goes everywhere. So anyway, what was so funny was Li Ting was like, I'm going to birimbolo Leandro Lowe. It's like, bro, you're not going to and Minnie said to me, watch, Li Ting is going to try and birimbolo Leandro Lowe.
That was just like his thing for the seminar. He's like, I'm just going to nail one.
I'm going to do this.
Because Lowe doesn't get boloed?
No.
Like, is he talked shit about, or he doesn't play that?
No one can bolo Lowe.
Right.
Like Meows can't bolo Lowe.
Right.
No, it's just like he has spent a good number of years fighting the Meow brothers. Almost no one can take his back.
Yeah.
In the gi. You know, let's quantify that. So Li Ting comes out just like slapping his hands like, I'm going to like, let's go. Like a fucking world championship fight. And Lowe's just like half asleep like, oh God, we shouldn't have agreed to this. No one wanted to roll Buchecha. I was the biggest guy in the room. So I was like, no, whatever. Like I'll have a crack. Like let's I'll keep it casual, And, so anyway, people lined up and man, Ting straight away comes out, pulls De La Riva's trying to bolo. And then straight away Lowe's like kind of laughing like, really? You going to do this to me? Anyway, he was like so adamant, like reaching for the belt. Anyway, I was concentrating on what's in front of me, which is the greatest guy of all time. Buchecha, and Buchecha did this thing where he kind of sits down to like a step back. He's kind of like half guard, whatever. I had knee shield. He kind of lies on me. So his torso is across my body and he's kind of got his back to me and he's going to just kind of, whatever he's going to do, you know. But I thought, he's not that.
Does he have like a cross face, or is he far side with the arm?
He's got his armpit across my chest, so both my arms are free.
Yeah,
and he's not putting heaps of pressure on me, but he's not that heavy.
Yeah,
like he didn't feel heavy, and maybe it's just because he was taking it light on me. And I was like, oh, whatever, I wasn't going crazy.
You had that stardust.
Yeah,
so it's like everything feels kind of mystical at that stage.
Yeah, and then I kind of was like, oh, you know what? He's not as heavy as he looks. And I kind of grabbed his belt and I grabbed his far side leg and I was like, you know what? I reckon I've got a cheeky back take from here. And he was just kind of sitting on me. He wasn't doing much. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to try something. You know, nothing crazy. So I put my outside leg under his leg, kind of like for those who are well-versed, like I'm in a half guard. I took my hook off and I put it behind his knee like a crab hook. And then I kicked out to take his back. And I had his belt. And I literally had my shins in the back of his knees. And I was riding the fucking bull, man. He took off, man. He just went, he's going to take my back. Boom. And he just popped up off the mat and tried to run off the mat. And I was like, yeah. Like holding onto his belt with my feet behind his knees, like trying to like climb. And we just basically ran off into the boxing bags. I let go. He stood up and he looked at me. He's like, man, you're strong. And I was like, oh, yeah, thanks, bro. Yeah, cool. And then just straight away, his demeanor changed like, okay, you're going to get it now. I was like, and I felt it the game changed. He wasn't like going casual. He's like, you know, he probably went from like 20% to 50%, but he just went, right, I'm going to crush you now. And he just grabbed my gi pants and he grabbed my side. I was like, oh no, I've awoken the bear. Fuck. Anyway, he was quite merciful. I'll be honest. He crushed the life out of me. Like I did what I could. Like, but he didn't submit me. Like I defended myself, but my God, the guy's pressure when he wants to turn it on, it's another dimension.
You would have felt all of the 120 kilos at that point. Oh
my goodness. He decided, yeah, we're rolling now. And you know, he obviously just played it real low key because he's, you know, if you've ever seen Buchecha, he's a monster. He was being nice to me, but he fucked me up. Yeah. And then what was cool was like we switched out, and anyway, he shook my hand. He's like, man, you're good. Thanks, man. Oh, he's super, super nice, you know. And then I rolled with low, and I know that Leandro hates worm guard, and they both don't like Keenan. They call him the Keenan.
The Keenan.
The Keenan. Because I wanted to ask them some questions about like how they, after the seminar about it, and they're like, oh yeah, and how they were speaking in Portuguese, but like how you fuck up the Keenan. That's how they refer to him. They really don't like him. I put kind of low in worm guard. Like I tied him up with the lapel and straight away his face was like, oh, this shit. You can see he was like, ugh. Anyway, it was cool because I was able to kind of hold on to him for a little while. And then he was just like, get off. Like he just got really like annoyed because I was like holding onto his leg and kind of had him tied up. But that guy, man, Leandro Lowe can just move so fast. He's honestly one of the fastest movers, like light speed. Like 1 minute he's in front of you, next minute, zip, zip, zip. Like you're like, next minute he's got your back or he's choking you or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And he choked me hard. I was holding onto his leg and he's like, whatever. I'm going to bloody bow and arrow choke you, son. It's just like, whatever, bro. But he's super cheeky, super lovely.
Had he seen your role with Buchecha?
Nah, he was too busy
so
trying to.
So he wasn't aware that like, I can't go too light on this guy.
No, not at all. He was too busy trying to deal with Li Ting trying to kill him.
Was Li Ting successful with the bolo?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think like, you know, Leandro took it easy. I watched him roll Mini and they had a pretty tough roll, man. Like Mini didn't go super hard on him, but it was a hard roll. Like Mini came off like far out. Like I think it was more competitive than Low expected.
Right.
Both Li Ting and Dave Marinakis have amazing jiu-jitsu games. And they play that bolos and bullfighters game, and they're bloody good.
Yeah.
And I watched Low roll with Mini, Dave Marinakis, and it was tough roll, man. Like he turned it on. He had to roll hard.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if he tapped him, but he had to give it to him to beat him.
Wow.
Which was really interesting.
Yeah.
And then I rolled him and I think he was a bit tired and like the alcohol was just coming out of his pores. Like he smelt like a cross between like cheap teenage boy, like Lynx deodorant. Oh. And a pub.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like just emitting alcohol out of his pores. But man, it took him a good couple of minutes to pass my guard. He said, He's like, oh, yeah, muito forte. He's like, well, like, I can't remember the exact words, but like, what weight are you? And I was like, oh, mesa pesada, like middle heavy. And he was like, oh, yeah, good work, bro. And afterwards, they were hanging out, just talking crap, just laughing, joking around, which is what they're like. They're so friendly. And then I was able to kind of rouse them into playing a game of judo. And man, so Buchecha, who speaks English very well, and is a smart guy all round, and Lo, who speaks no English and is possibly a jiu-jitsu savant, as in very good at jiu-jitsu, maybe not good at many other things. Buchecha couldn't get it. He didn't understand the game. I showed him the game, and I was like, oh, it'd be great if they could play off against each other playing my card game. Wouldn't that be great for content? Buchecha was like, no, I'm not having it. Didn't get it. And then the host, he was pretty good at it. Forgive me for forgetting his name. And man, Lo got it straight away. So Lo's like, right, I do a takedown, I do a pass, and I can do a sub or a back take. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, all right, I can pull guard, I can do this, I can do that. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, sweet, I get this. Like with no English. And
right.
he was blitzing them. And he was laughing at how much they sucked. And he's like, oh, I'm killing you guys. It was mad. I was so blown away. And then they're like, oh, where do you train? Like we should train. And like they love jiu-jitsu. They love their lives. They also like to party.
Yeah, right.
And it's so good. Like it's when you have that experience, you're like, wow, you can appreciate why they are in another world of their own, but also that they're good humans.
Yeah. But do you think with the seminar thing, I have this conversation with some people. People always talk about it. I remember it started with apparently Khabib Nurmagomedov ran a seminar in Melbourne.
Okay.
I heard like a private kind of one.
Okay.
A few years ago. And it was like a surprise thing. Hey, last minute, Khabib's doing a seminar. Tickets were like $1,000 or something like that.
Wow.
And it was like, whatever, X amount of people can come. And it sold out.
Yeah.
And I was talking with someone about it, a friend in jiu-jitsu, and they were like, oh, that's fucking ridiculous. Like, what's he going to be able to, like, he's a great fighter, but is he a great coach? Like, what technique could be worth that kind of money and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I was maintaining, and I've always felt this, seminars and shit, it's not about the techniques.
Yeah.
It's about you getting to share the room
With
this person that is like, it's an experience.
Yes.
Like it's a very unique, very high level individual, and you get to hang out with them for a bit.
Yeah.
And maybe you learn some techniques from them and exchange a little bit. Maybe you get to roll. Maybe you get to fucking play cards.
Yeah, yeah.
Who knows, maybe you go for a beer afterwards.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
whatever. But it's like, that's what you're paying for. That's the shit you remember.
Yeah.
Do you kind of agree with that?
I agree with that 100%. I can't say that I've come out of a seminar and gone, that was worth every dollar. Like,
yeah, I'm going to use that specific pass
that
from now on.
technique, and that's my game now. Because obviously everyone's game's different, but you definitely get a gauge on the person. Like you're like, right, I had this idea in my mind. Now I see you, and I see you in the context of other jiu-jitsu people. How do you treat people? What do you like? And for most high-level guys, they won't roll. Like
It's understandable, right?
yeah,
to an
because
extent.
people are coming for you.
Yeah, like the way those guys come off a big night.
Yeah.
And then you got like a few savages that are like, I'm going to fucking cream you. Like I'm going to hit my move on this guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I'm just here to teach a seminar.
Like,
I don't want to fight.
Come on, like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's just, everybody's different. I definitely have had, less than optimal experiences at seminars where I'm like, that was a ripoff. That guy showed 3 techniques. He had us do a jiu-jitsu warm-up for, 45 minutes, running around in circles, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was just Q&A. Like, you just took our money, bro. Like, you didn't actually, you didn't get much from it. Like, like I did the Nicholas Merengali seminar in Melbourne. It was whatever. Like, respect to Nicholas, he's a beast. And I trained with him when we were purple belts back in the days, and he's a phenomenal athlete. But I'm never, ever going to do his seminar again. He also has no personality.
You know what I noticed with Merengali?
Yeah.
His highlight videos. I like watching his highlight videos. His highlight videos are like 30% him doing like sick jiu-jitsu,
Yep.
and 70% him just looking like a fucking stud. They're like all these like close-up shots of him like looking over the shoulder.
Serious.
Kind of, like, is he
Beating his chest.
He's a good-looking man. Yeah, and it's like, what am I watching here? Is this like a Levi's commercial or about you?
What other products am I buying? No, I mean, whatever. Like I really, I think you got to separate the art from the artist, because sometimes someone's jiu-jitsu is amazing, but then they're a pretty average human being.
Yeah.
And I mean, you for yourself, Joe, I mean, is there anyone who you've hung out with? Like, so you've obviously been in jiu-jitsu a while. Was there someone who surprised you, or is there someone you met who you thought, wow, you're actually really cool, or cooler than you might have thought? Or has it gone the other way? You know, they say, oh, don't meet your heroes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, so I've not done, I've done a good handful of seminars, I suppose, over the years, but not done any, I've never been like super up on, so-and-so's coming out, I've got to go to that.
Do that, yeah.
I did go to, the last seminar I did was at Alliance, Adam's gym in Rose Bay, and it was with Lucas Lepri.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I don't follow jiu-jitsu. And, everyone's like, oh, bro, Lucas Lepri's like
the man,
like the fucking man. And I'm like, oh, cool. Anyways, it was super packed. It was a great night. I was his demo guy.
Oh, okay, cool.
So Ad's like, oh, Joe, can you? And I was like, oh, fuck.
Did he put crush on you?
No, he didn't. But he's like, okay, guys, so we're going to first work like this, my De La Riva pass. So the guy puts you in De La Riva. And I'm like, I don't play De La Riva. Like, I literally don't really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, man, put your foot here, take this, kind of, and I was a bit nervous too.
Yeah.
So just like, oh fuck, man, I hope I don't drop the ball for the next 3 hours.
Nice.
But, wow. I mean, look, he's not a hero of mine, right? But he is obviously like someone who's, he's obviously like a celebrity and a very accomplished amazing jiu-jitsu fighter. I don't think I saw him smile once all night. He was just like, I don't know if he was interested to be there or not.
Yeah.
It was like, he was very friendly. It was like, hey man, awesome to meet you. He's like, hey, good to have you here. Like, can we take a photo together? Yeah, took a photo. Like, but kind of like very little charisma.
He's very introverted.
Yeah.
He's a very, because I met Lucas, like I've done his seminar before as well.
Right.
Maybe friendlier to me because I had met him before, but he's so introverted. Like borderline slow. Like you say, oh, Lucas, something. And he'll like, like
think about it.
Yeah. Like he'll really consider it. He might take 10 seconds to get back to you. Like, what's going on here?
Which you got to respect, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I'm being careful with my words because I don't want to like,
insult.
Not trying to hang shit on anyone for not being like the megastar that I wanted them to be.
Sure.
But there's definitely something to be said for an athlete who also has a good dose of charisma.
Sure.
And knows how to crack a joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they can come into a room and they can go, right, this is what we're doing. Hey man, what's up? I'm fucking so-and-so. Good to have you here. Like, and bring that energy. And you're like, wow, this is, that 3 hours finishes and you're like, that was a sick experience.
Great experience.
Yeah. As opposed to, some of the techniques were like super sick. I'll probably never be able to apply them because I'm not technical enough.
Not my game.
Wait, did he teach any details on the crossface? Because otherwise it's not applicable to me. But yeah, so that's the thing. And I think when you find someone who has that mix, it's a special, it's something to be appreciated.
Definitely.
Because it is rare.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Just random funny side note, to do with seminars. I did Michelle Nicolini's seminar, and I had actually met her once in Brazil like 2 years before, just in passing. Anyway, totally respect her game. She's the GOAT for me, legend and lovely human in general. I already knew I had a boyfriend, right? Like I knew who her boyfriend was because I was thinking I might have to fight him. He's a really, really good guy at Purple Belt. And I did her seminar. She's good friends with...
Aussie guy or Brazilian guy?
He's Swedish.
Okay.
But he was living in Brazil for a period of time training at Checkmat.
Right. And this is when you were there?
So the seminar was in Melbourne.
Right.
But when I got to see her in 2012, we were like kind of friends by then. So it was fine. But I wasn't chatting her up. I was just trying to talk to her before the seminar. And like in the first minute of the sentence, she said, "I have a boyfriend." Like just straight away, just letting you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, cool, man. Like I'm just a fan. Like I am a fan. You're
in Australia, not Brazil.
You're a beast.
You're in safe territory here.
I promise I'm not going to fill you up. I just want to give you respect and I appreciate you." And she wouldn't roll me in the seminar. And I was like, oh, because she rolled a couple of other people. And I was like, I'm not going to do anything crazy. I just wanted to roll and field a game. And she's like, nah. And I was like, okay, that's a bit weird, whatever.
Well,
So,
like you asked and she said no?
no, she said no. And I was like, okay, respect, whatever. But then after the seminar, I hung out for a while and she was just hanging out. And she's like, want to train? I was like, okay. And she toe hold the shit out of me like 50 times. We rolled for like half an hour and she just leg locked the shit out of me.
Wow.
Like I was a new purple belt at this stage. And man, toe holds, knee bars, boom, 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 like just smashing me. And I was like, wow, okay. It's not she didn't want to roll me, but she was just like, I don't know if she was being merciful because she's like.
What was the deal?
It was strange. Like I think it was like, I don't know if it was having other people around or what it was, but she just kind of beat me up for half an hour. And then after that we were mates. So it was cool, like, and I said, oh, like, I'm going to go back to Brazil and, I'd love, it'd be great to train with you. And anyway, I didn't actually get to train with her, but I got to see her at tournaments and stuff like that. And she's always really friendly.
That's cool.
But it was cool. So I really respect not only one that she just told me to get lost because it was just on her terms. And then also it wasn't like she was afraid to roll me because the thing I think a lot of people forget is her main training partner for a long time was Robert Drysdale, and he used to beat her up. And all the tough guys at Brusser team back in the day used to like really kill her. Like they weren't nice to her. Like that's tough, man. She's not a big human. You wonder why she's so good, right? So I think that's the thing that like whether it's male or female, when you train with some of these smaller humans, whether it's like a Bruno Malfacini, who's tiny but so powerful and so fast, or even like a guy like Rafa Mendes, he doesn't look that athletic. He doesn't look that jacked. He's so strong. The guy is so strong. And then you think, fuck, these guys are, to some extent, they are superhuman. Like what they've achieved is almost unbelievable. But they are actually human, and what they've done is possible if you have their level of dedication, their level of application, tough-mindedness, whatever.
Yeah. It's all of those attributes, isn't it, combined?
Yeah.
That allow them to get to where they are.
Yeah. No, it's phenomenal, and I'm very grateful. I mean, mate, there's so many other stories we could tell. I mean,
well, you guys are gonna have to tune in next time for more stories of how we got crushed by people who are better at jiu-jitsu than we are.
Story of every other training session. No, it's a cool thing, guys. So I definitely encourage all of you out there, if you do get the opportunity to meet, your heroes, do it. Like pay the money because you never know when the experience might come again or never happen.
Man, I think particularly now, like through these COVID times, people would be appreciating what it was like to be able to go to seminars and stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely. And definitely encourage you guys to do it. And even if it comes to something like somebody you want to meet in the health and fitness realm, like a famous coach or trainer, definitely it's worth.
Maybe the guys that run the Bulletproof for BJJ program. You want to connect with those guys. You can find them on the mats at Jungle Brothers on a Friday night.
Yeah, you might even find them a cheeky weeknight at Alliance, before they blow up and get too famous.
Apparently Mondays, Wednesdays, but who knows? It's a bit mythical.
Yeah,
take your chances.
Yeah, you might be able to stalk their Instagram and find out. All right, man. I think we'll call that a wrap right there.
Awesome. Thanks for listening, guys. If you need any help from us, bulletproofforbjj.com. Free trial for the program. Jump on board there if you do need help with your strength and mobility. Our program has you covered. And if you want to follow us on the Instagram, it's at bulletproofforbjj. We're putting that stuff out every day on recovery, strength, mobility, just how you can improve your BJJ lifestyle. So check us out. Thank you for supporting.
Thank you, Joey.
Cheers, JT.
See you guys.
See you next week.